The space station above Earth was quiet, but something felt strange. Jace stood near the main window, looking out at the stars. He had been a communication officer for years, and he had seen many diplomats come and go. But this one, this alien, was different. Her name was Zaira. She had arrived 3 days ago in a small silver ship, alone, with only a short message from her people. They said she was here to build peace between their planets. Her voice was soft, her eyes glowed like blue fire. Her smile seemed perfect, almost too perfect. Everyone on the station was curious about her. Some were amazed by her beauty. Others were nervous, but Jace didn't trust her. Not fully. Zaira always moved with care. She watched everyone closely, especially Jace, wherever he went. She seemed to appear nearby sometimes, just walking past, sometimes pretending to look at the stars like him. At first, he thought it was just chance, but it kept happening. One night, Jace stayed late at the control room. He didn't tell anyone. He sat in the dark, watching the security cameras. That's when he saw her. Zaira was standing alone near the edge of the station, where the light was dim. She wasn't talking to anyone. She wasn't holding a device, but her lips were moving. Curious, Jace turned up the sound on the feed. Static filled his ears. Then he heard something strange, a language he didn't understand. But one word stood out. It was his name. She said it quietly, softly, but clearly. Jace, his heart beat faster. Why was she saying his name when no one was there? Who was she talking to? The next morning, Jace tried to act normal. He met Zaira in the hallway. She smiled at him like always. "Good morning," she said. Jace nodded, watching her closely. "You were out late last night," he said. "I couldn't sleep," she answered. "Your stars are beautiful." She sounded calm. Her voice didn't shake, but Jace saw something in her eyes just for a second. A flicker of surprise, or fear. He spent the rest of the day thinking. Something wasn't right. Zaira had access to the station's network, but her reports were always short. Too short. She never asked about weapons, or power levels, or defense plans, things a spy would want to know. But maybe that was the trick. Maybe she wasn't looking for that kind of information. Maybe she was looking for something else. That night, Jace stayed awake. He left a small note on his desk, pretending to be a report. It said something about Earth's defense shields being weak in the South Zone. It wasn't true, of course. It was a trap. Then he waited. An hour passed. Then 2. Then, station doors slid open. Light footsteps came in. It was her. Zaira walked in slowly, looking around. She saw the note, picked it up. "Read it." Jace watched from the shadows, silent. But what she did next surprised him. She didn't take a photo. She didn't send a message. She didn't even copy it. She tore it. She tore the note into small pieces and dropped them in the trash. Then she stood there, staring at nothing. "Why?" Jace whispered. She turned. She hadn't heard him come closer. Her eyes glowed gently in the low light. "You weren't supposed to see that," she said quietly. "What are you doing here, Zed?" Jace asked. "Who were you talking to last night?" She looked at him for a long time. No lies, no games, just silence. Then she said something he didn't expect. "I was sent here with a mission," she whispered. "But you make things difficult." Jace stepped closer. "What kind of mission?" She gave a small, sad smile. "The kind where I'm not supposed to feel anything." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The station hummed softly around them. Zaira looked down at her hands. "Your people are kind. Too kind. I wasn't ready for that." Jace didn't know what to say. He had so many questions, but one thing was clear now. She wasn't just a guest. She was something else, and whatever game was being played, he was already a part of it. Zaira sat alone in the observation room. The stars outside the window blinked like soft lights in the dark. She had seen many stars in her life, planets full of rules, leaders, and promises. But this one was different. Earth felt ... strange. It was noisy, warm, and full of emotion. And Jace was the center of it. Back on her homeworld, she had been trained to read emotions, to copy them when needed, and to use her beauty to influence others. Her job was never to care. She had been told, over and over, humans are curious, yes, but weak, easy to distract, easy to guide. But Jace had not followed the plan. He didn't fall for her charm right away. He didn't ask foolish questions or try to impress her. Instead, he stayed quiet, watched her closely, and kept asking things that made her feel ... unsure. She hated that word, unsure. It was not part of her training. That night, her fingers hovered over the small silver communicator hidden inside her bracelet. She was supposed to send updates every night, just a few lines, short codes, but she hadn't done that for 2 nights now, and she wasn't sure why. A quiet beep came from the device. A message appeared. Update, missing, report now, status. She stared at the words. Her eyes didn't blink. Then slowly, she typed, "The human is harder to read. He senses something." There was a pause. Then a second message appeared. "Stay close. Gain full trust. Report any signs of human defense." Zayara didn't reply. She sat back in the chair and looked at her own reflection in the dark glass. For the first time in a long time, she didn't know what she truly felt. The next morning, Jace walked into the dining area. He saw Zayara sitting at the far end, alone, with a tray of food in front of her. She was stirring a cup of earth tea, but not drinking it. He walked past other officers, pretending to be casual, but his eyes were locked on her. When he reached her table, she looked up. "I thought you didn't like tea," he said. "I'm trying," she answered, gently blowing on the surface. "I want to understand what humans enjoy." "Do you always study others this closely?" Jace asked, half smiling. She gave a slow nod. "It's part of my work." "And what have you learned about me?" Zayara paused. She looked into his eyes. "That you don't smile unless you mean it, and that you watch me when you think I'm not looking." Jace sat down across from her. The silence between them was calm, but filled with unspoken words. "You erased that report," he said, his voice low. "Why?" She looked away. "Because I didn't want them to see it." "Who are they, Zayara?" he asked, leaning slightly forward. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them slowly. "My people sent me to study you, to get close. I was supposed to distract you and learn your secrets." Jace said nothing, but something changed. She continued. "You didn't act like others. You didn't try to win me over. You asked real questions. You looked at me like I was a person, not a puzzle. And now?" he asked carefully. Zayara looked at her tea. Her fingers touched the warm cup. "Now I don't know if I'm doing my job, or breaking it." Jace leaned back, folding his arms. "You realize Earth doesn't take this lightly. If you're hiding something, if there's more." "I know," she interrupted softly, "and that's why I came to you first. I don't want to hurt your people. I just ... I need more time to decide what's right." He studied her face. She looked calm, but her hands were tight around the cup. Before he could speak, an alert flashed on the nearby screen. It was from the docking bay. A small ship had entered long-range sensors. No ID, no message. Jace stood up slowly. Zayara's eyes followed him, expecting a visitor. He asked her. She didn't answer right away, then said quietly, "If it's who I think it is, they're not here to talk." Jace didn't like the sound of that, but instead of walking away, he reached out, gently placing his hand on the table. "You're not alone here," he said, "but I need you to tell me everything. No more secrets." Zayara looked at his hand, then at his eyes. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then she nodded. "I'll tell you everything," she whispered, "but not here." Jace followed Zayara down the long corridor, past the quiet labs and darkened windows. The station was calm on the outside, but his thoughts were racing. She had promised to tell him everything, but part of him still didn't know whether to believe her. Zayara stopped in front of a small door near the lower storage wing. Most crew members never came here. It was used long ago for deep signal testing, and now it sat quiet, forgotten. She looked around once, then opened the door. Inside, the room was dark except for a soft blue light coming from the wall. It wasn't part of the station's system. It was something else, alien, smooth, and shaped like a crystal. It floated above the desk, humming gently. Jace stepped inside and looked at it. "What is that?" he asked. "It's a memory node," Zayara said quietly. "I wasn't allowed to bring full equipment, but this holds everything: my mission orders, my logs, and ... my thoughts. You record your thoughts. Sometimes it's easier than speaking them," she replied. "Sometimes words feel too heavy." She touched the crystal. A soft tone filled the air. Small lights floated up around them, images of stars, ships, and alien text that translated in real time on a nearby screen. Jace watched in silence. "This," Zayara said, pointing to a screen, "is my original mission. I was sent to study Earth's leadership, My orders were clear. Get close to one human, earn trust, send daily updates, and if I found anything useful, report it. And that human was me, Jace said slowly. Yes, why me? She looked at him. Because you were not just a guard. You asked questions. You paid attention. That made you dangerous, but also the right choice. Jace let out a breath. So what changed? Zaora stepped back, her eyes on the glowing crystal. I didn't expect kindness, she said. Not the kind that wasn't forced. You never asked me to share anything personal, yet you listened when I spoke. You didn't try to impress me. You just were yourself. She paused, her voice softer now. I started writing less in my reports. Then I stopped. My last message was almost empty. Why? He asked. Because I didn't want them to know how I felt. I wasn't sure what it meant. I still don't know. Jace looked at the floating images. One of them showed Earth, glowing softly in space. Your people are still watching, he said. That ship we saw earlier, it could be them. Zaora nodded slowly. If they come and I haven't completed my task, they'll take control. They might send someone else. Someone who doesn't care, Jace added. Yes. Silence filled the room. Only the hum of the crystal remained. Zaora stepped closer to Jace, her expression thoughtful. I was trained to use emotions as tools, she said. But now, my own emotions are confusing me. I'm not supposed to feel anything for a target, but I do. Jace's eyes met hers. There was something honest in them, no secrets, no lies. I need to know one thing, he said. If I help you, if I trust you, are you willing to do the same for Earth? Zaora didn't answer right away. She turned to the screen again, then slowly pressed her hand to the crystal. The lights dimmed, the images vanished. She looked back at Jace. I will help. Not because I was told to, but because I want to. Jace nodded. Then we have to move fast. That ship out there may not wait. If they don't hear from you soon, they'll act on their own. I know, Zaora said. And if they come, they won't understand what I've done. To them, it will be betrayal. Then we need to stay one step ahead, Jace said. We need a plan. Zaira looked thoughtful. Then she took off the silver bracelet from her wrist and handed it. To him, this can link to their signal, she said. But only once. If you use it, they'll know someone interfered. What can I do with it? You can hear their messages. Maybe even send one back. Jace took the bracelet carefully. And what if they hear my voice? They won't. I'll speak for you. Jace looked at her one more time. He still didn't know how this would end. But for now, one thing was certain: he didn't feel alone anymore. And neither did she. The station lights dimmed slightly as Earth moved into shadow. Nighttime cycles always brought silence, but tonight felt heavier. Jace sat alone in the small observation room, the silver bracelet from Zaira resting in his hand. He kept turning it slowly, trying to understand how something so small could hold such power. He hadn't used it yet, not because he didn't believe her, but because he wasn't sure what message to send. What could he say that wouldn't make things worse? Behind him, the door opened quietly. He didn't have to turn around to know it was her. Zaira stepped in, her steps light as always. She sat down beside him, folding her hands in her lap. For a long moment, they just watched the stars. I used to love this part of the galaxy, she said. We called it the Quiet Road. Jace glanced at her. Do your people still call it that? She shook her head. Not anymore. Now it's just another sector, another place to study. You speak like you don't belong to them anymore. Zaira looked down at her hands. I'm beginning to wonder if I ever truly did. Her voice was softer than usual, more thoughtful. There was no trace of the diplomat mask she had worn when she first arrived. No perfect smile, just truth. I was chosen for this mission because I had no attachments, she said. Because I followed orders. They believed I could never be swayed. But you were, Jace said gently. She gave a small nod. You surprised me. You were not interested in charm or form. You asked questions that made me think. You saw me as more than my assignment. Jace leaned forward, his arms resting on his knees. What happens now, Zaira? You said if they don't hear from you, they'll act. How much time do we have? Not much, she answered. Maybe 2 days, maybe less. They're watching, listening. Jace opened a small drawer beside him and placed the bracelet inside. We need to use this carefully. Zaira looked at him. If we send the wrong message, they might take it as a warning. They'll send someone else, or worse, make decisions we can't stop. We need a message that buys time, Jace said. Something that sounds normal. I can do that, she said. But after that, I need to disappear. They must think I've gone into deeper research. If I stay visible, they'll sense something is wrong. Jace frowned. Where would you go? She looked at him and gave a quiet answer. With you, if you'll let me. He didn't respond right away. The idea of hiding her, keeping her from being found, was risky. But he also knew the alternative: if she was taken, Earth might never know the truth. I'll help you, he said, but we need someone we can trust. There's a human researcher here, Zayara said slowly. Her name is Mei Lin. She asked me questions about alien biology yesterday, things I didn't expect from your people. She wasn't afraid. She was curious. You want to trust a scientist? I trust curiosity more than fear, replied. If she's willing to listen, maybe she can help. Jace stood up. Then let's speak with her, quietly. They made their way to the lower lab, taking empty halls and avoiding cameras. The lab door was half closed, the lights dim. Mei Lin was still awake, typing on a tablet, her glasses slightly tilted. When she saw them, she didn't look surprised. I thought you two might come, she said calmly. Jace blinked. You expected us. I've been reading your reports. Jace and I have been watching Zayara too. Something about her energy signature didn't match a normal visitor. Zayara stepped forward. Then why didn't you report me? Mei Lin smiled lightly. Because you looked tired. Not dangerous. Zayara tilted her head, surprised. That's not the answer I expected. Mei Lin set down her tablet. You didn't come here to harm us. I could tell. Your behavior wasn't about gathering secrets. It was about understanding connection. Jace stepped in. We need your help. She needs to vanish for a while, and we need time. Mei Lin nodded. I have an old research chamber, shielded from signals. Number 1 uses it anymore. He can stay there. Zayara looked at her with quiet thanks. Before they left, Mei Lin added, You know, Zayara, there's something human in you now. Zayara blinked. What do you mean? You're afraid to go back? Mei Lin said softly. And that fear is not weakness, it's care. As they stepped out of the lab, Jace looked at Zayara. Do you trust her? Zayara nodded. More than I expected. As they walked into the hidden chamber, Jace realized something. This wasn't just about hiding anymore. This was about choosing sides and trusting someone who was never meant to feel anything at all. But now, everything was changing. The research chamber was cold and quiet, hidden deep beneath the main level of the station. Its walls were lined with old equipment and silent machines no longer in use. No cameras, no signals, no one watching. Zayara sat on a narrow bench, her fingers slowly tracing the edge of the table beside her. She had spent most of her life in open skies and bright cities. Now, she was hiding like a shadow. But she didn't feel alone. Not anymore. Jace entered, carrying a small tray of food and warm tea. He set it down beside her without saying much. Their eyes met for just a moment, and that was enough. There was trust now. Quiet, strong trust. She smiled gently. You always bring the same tea. You said it calms your nerves. Zayara nodded. It reminds me of something from my childhood. Before I was trained for missions. Jace sat down across from her. What were you like as a child? She looked surprised. No one ever asked me that. I'm not everyone, he replied. With a small smile, Zayara looked down at her hands. I used to collect lightstones, small glowing crystals from our forests. I thought they held wishes. I would whisper into them and hide them under my pillow. And did any of your wishes come true? One, she said softly, her voice full of thought. I once wished to meet someone who didn't expect me to be perfect. Jace stayed, quiet, unsure how to respond. But something about her words stayed with him. Before either of them could say more, a soft knock came at the door. 3 short taps. It was Mei Lin. Jace opened the door slightly. She stepped in with a datapad in her hands and a serious look on her face. I just got access to the station's outer scans, she said. That ship from earlier... It's still nearby, but it hasn't moved. Zayara stood slowly. They're waiting for a signal. They want to be sure I'm still following orders. Mei Lin nodded. If they wait too long without a message, they'll get suspicious. Jace reached into his pocket and took out the silver bracelet. Then we send them something. Zayara looked at the device, then back at Jace. Are you ready to hear what they really say to me? I am, he said. She took the bracelet, touched the surface, and closed her eyes. A soft blue glow rose from the bracelet. Strange symbols floated in the air, but the device translated everything into soft, clear words. A voice spoke. Status required. Mission timeline exceeded. Emotional interference suspected. Confirm control. Jace listened closely. The voice was calm, without emotion, but the words felt cold. Zayara looked down. They're testing me. They suspect something has changed. Lin stepped forward. What do you want to tell them? Zayara thought carefully. Then she said, tell them, I've earned full trust. Say I've moved to deeper observation and will report again in 2 rotations. That should buy us time. Jace nodded. But what happens after 2 days? Zayara looked at both of them. Then I tell the truth. Mei Lin raised an eyebrow. And what will the truth be? That I've made a choice, she said simply. That I no longer want to play a part in their plans. She spoke with such calm that the room went quiet. Later that evening, Jace and Zayara walked through a hidden tunnel Mei Lin had shown them. It led to a small garden dome, unused for years. Plants still grew there, though the lights flickered from time to time. Zayara stepped into the garden slowly, touching the leaves. It smells like home, even though it's Earth's garden. Jace asked. Sometimes new places feel familiar, she said, especially when you're with someone who makes them feel safe. They sat near the edge of the pond. A soft light reflected off the water. Jack turned to her. What will happen to you if your people find out the truth? I don't know, she replied honestly, but I know I won't regret it. He looked at her carefully. There was something in her eyes, uncertainty, but also something else, peace. After a long pause, Zayara reached into her coat and handed him a small object. It was a clear stone, glowing softly from within. A light stone, he asked. She nodded. The last one I brought from home. I've been saving it. Jace smiled. For another wish? No, she said. This one isn't mine. It's yours. He looked down at it, surprised. Zeyra smiled. Wishes are stronger when shared. Asterisk. The garden dome felt like another world, hidden away from noise, rules, and orders. It gave Zayara and Jace a small piece of peace that neither of them had known in a long time. The lightstone still sat in Jace's palm. It was warm now, gently glowing, as if it knew something had changed, as if it understood that the one who held it was finally beginning to believe. I never thought I'd say this, Jace whispered, but I don't want this mission to end. Zayara didn't speak at first. She just looked up at the soft ceiling lights that tried to copy starlight. You remind me of the skies on my world, she said. We used to say the sky was not just a place above us, it was the space between hearts. The closer your stars, the closer your truth. He looked at her. That's beautiful. Not always, she replied, because sometimes we found stars that burned too fast, or stars that disappeared before we could name them. Jace fell quiet again. Suddenly, a soft chirp came from the small comm device Mei Lin had given him. It wasn't an alarm, not even a message, just a silent blinking signal meaning someone had arrived at the docking bay. No ship name, no alert to the rest of the crew, just a quiet, silent visitor. Zayara saw the look on his face. What is it? Jace held out the device. A ship just landed. No ID. Zayara stood up, her face calm but focused. It's them, my people. They didn't wait. They're here. Do they know you're hiding? Jace asked. No. She said they wouldn't act without checking first. Someone is here to observe, maybe even talk. Jace walked with her back to the main hallway. They didn't run. They didn't speak much. Just silent steps, careful and slow. Mei Lin met them halfway. They're walking through the main corridor now, she said. A single visitor. Looks like one of Zayara's kind. Zayara nodded. They've sent a watcher, not for questions but for feelings. Someone who can sense change. Mei Lin looked confused. Feelings, Jace explained. They can't force her to speak, but they can feel if she's lying or hiding something. Zayara turned to him. If I face them now, they'll know everything. They'll feel what I've come to feel for you. And that may be the end of it. You mean they'll take you away? Mei Lin asked. No, Zayara said. They'll take the mission away, the trust, the chance for peace. Everything will go back to orders and cold plans. Jace looked at her closely. Then we don't let that happen. He turned to Mei Lin. Is the observation room still linked to the garden dome? Yes, she said. It has mirror glass. They can see the room, but they won't know when the view is real or a recording. A quiet idea came into Jace's mind. What if we give them something they expect to see? He asked. Zayara raised a brow. You want to show them a version of me that fits their plan? Jace nodded. Just long enough to buy time. We loop a scene, something where you look like you're still focused, still watching me closely, still in control. Zayara looked uncertain, but Mei Lin was already typing. We can do it. I have an old visual log from 3 days ago. She was walking through the corridor, holding her report tablet, face calm, no emotion. That might work, Jace said. Zayara placed her hand on Mei Lin's arm. Thank you. Mei Lin smiled. I'm not just a scientist anymore. I think I've become part of a story. They quickly moved back toward the hidden room. Zayara sat near the console as Mei Lin activated the loop. On the other side of the station, the Watcher entered the viewing deck. Tall, with silver eyes and a blank face, they stood silently, watching the screen that showed Zayara's recorded image. The Watcher didn't speak. They only stood still, reading the air, sensing emotion, measuring truth. In the hidden room, Zayara sat completely still, eyes closed. They're trying to reach my thoughts. Can they hear you? Jace asked. No, she whispered, but they can feel hesitation. I must stay calm. Jace reached over and gently placed his hand on hers. Then don't think about fear. Think about why you came. Think about what you found. She opened her eyes, and for a brief moment, she smiled. I'm thinking of like. The next few minutes passed like hours. Then the signal blinked again. The Watcher had left. Mei Lin returned with news. They didn't ask questions. They didn't send messages. They just walked back to their ship. Quiet. No trace. Zayara stood up slowly. Her voice was soft but clear. They're giving me one last chance. One more day. And after that, I must decide. Jace looked at her. And have you? She turned to him. Not yet. But I'm close.